Oh my goodness. Seriously, I have to just do it. It's like I can tell myself I don't have to think about things that don't matter.
I was designed to do those things. How the hell does this guy know this about me?
It's impossible to not see.
When Dan read for my sister, she was like, he's psychic. She's like, how did you know that?
Yes.
She's like, it's human design, guys. Like, it's just a testimony of how legit it is.
Seriously, Danny was like FBI or CIA. He's like, how the hell does this guy know this about me?
Having my chart read, there were just thing after thing after thing that I was just like, wow, that's me.
This man is reading me and I've never met him before.
I was in the midst of one of the biggest emotional waves I've ever been in my life, and he saved my life.
It seems like everybody has the same reaction. It's that aha moment, and they want to find out more.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Human Design Advantage podcast. My name is Jen, and decoding the matrix for us is Danny Guru. Hey,
Jennifer,
Dan.
good to see you. Shiny and smiley, just like me.
Good to see you. I am super excited to be diving into tonight's chart, which is Candace Owens. So,
Love her. So she's made a big splash for a while, right? How long have you known about Candace?
probably for the past 3 years. But before we dive into Candace, guys, you know what to do. Make sure you subscribe, follow the show. We are on episode number 16, and today is August 3rd, 2022. I want to start dating these for the actual podcast.
Right.
The listeners.
Yep, this is good. You always do that, by the way.
Yes.
The date, the episode number. But yeah, so 3 years. So I think I've known about Candace Owens just since right around the beginning of the pandemic. So
I knew about her when Trump was in office.
Yeah. So I mean, I became familiar with her because she started becoming outspoken. I was like, "Who is this fireball?" And I wasn't sure. And apparently, she's got quite a following. She seems to be rather like upright. She says what she means. It appears. Is that the take you got on her, sorta?
Huh?
Is that the take you have on her that she?
Yeah, I mean,
what she sees.
She speaks a lot of truth. She's very like she puts the information out there and she backs up what she says, and that's what I like about her.
Yeah.
Because everything that she has said, or the information that she is sharing with her following, she gives them the information for them to go look themselves. And that's the important key. That's, any if you're following anybody, guys, I think it's important that, for one, you take it upon yourself to go look for the information. But anybody who is giving you the information, when they tell you their source, kudos to them, because that means they're not hiding anything.
Yeah.
It's literally in plain sight. And Candace doesn't care about what anybody says.
That's what it shows. That's what it seems to me. I picked an emblematic clip for her. I'll set this up a little bit. This is just, there were so many we could have gone on already. The video's almost 5 minutes long. This is from C-SPAN. I thought this was good because it's an official forum. So how does this woman conduct herself under what would be considered one of the pinnacles of stress? There you are before Congress. Everyone's on their best behavior. You gotta say something or be a clown. Or
I didn't see if she had an open route, man. That's got to be a lot of pressure.
Yeah. So, excuse me. She's got a lot of openness, and I think as we read through this today, I think we're going to see how is she living out her design. I think we're going to uncover some things that I'm not even going to be aware of until you and I are doing this thing, and I'm excited. I hope I see what I think I'm going to see.
All right. You want me to roll the video?
Yeah, C-SPAN. There's some there's a panel of 3 people attacking her, that she's stupid and she didn't care about a shooting, and shootings are the biggest problem right now for Black people, for Black kids, for parents of in that arena. And so they started sort of absconding with the whole argument that she was more interested in denying a shooting than something else. And it was political grandstanding. And so she calls him out on this. And this is just emblematic of Miss Owens, Miss Fireball Owens. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Fireball Owens. Yeah, run it.
I just have to say that I object strenuously to your use of the word hilarious. To me, this feels a lot like your reaction to being named in one of these manifestos. Now, you're of course not responsible for the words of somebody writing that document, but I do think that laughing at it is a real problem, because these are real families that are impacted by this violence. And I think our efforts towards talking about this have to start from a place of mutual respect, which is what I've heard from this side of the table. Now, the reason we don't have those numbers, I want those numbers as much as you do, but the numbers don't show something is simply not.
The numbers they're referring to are the numbers of kids affected in what way because of school shootings. Because it's all about the violence against the thing. They're all trying to hype up on the racism and the violence. This is one side. And then look they have 3 white people trying to tell us about violence with Black people. And so that's what this lady is talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the numbers on what it really is.
Right. Well, a lot of the numbers that they post are not factual.
Right. And why are they even here if they don't have numbers? They should have postponed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, and I have 38 seconds left, Ms. Mulligan, if you want to respond within that time.
The only thing I would add is that it's in the name. Terrorism, domestic terrorism, it terrorizes us. It terrorizes us in our homes. It terrorizes us in our schools. And to the points made by the other panelists, it is disproportionate to its impact on any individual life, and it's not.
You reject the idea of something that doesn't matter or doesn't really matter.
Absolutely reject.
Okay.
Mr. Meadows, okay.
Mr. Meadows next, then Mr. Clay, then to you, Mr. Drew.
Ms. Owens, obviously this is a gang up on you. You know, we're giving these witnesses the ability to do a rebuttal on you, and so I find it unfair, Ms. Ballou. I mean, candidly, for you to show mutual respect and then you to go after Ms. Owens, it's not appropriate. So, Ms. Owens, you can have 4 minutes and 34 seconds to respond. However, I'll yield.
Thank you. I believe, Ms. Owens, when you used the word hilarious, it was referencing the fact that no one had asked you a question. It wasn't to the subject matter of the hearing. Is that right?
That is correct.
And to have another witness insinuate something that is not accurate is just not appropriate, Mr. Chairman, for how witnesses are supposed to behave in front of this committee. I also think you didn't say it doesn't matter about the subject matter of today's hearing. You said there are other subjects that matter as well, and maybe we should spend some time on those. Is that accurate?
That is correct, and they matter much, 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 much more. And I've said that. I said that in my opening, and I will say it again. You know that white supremacy and white nationalism ranks nowhere near the top of the issues that are facing Black America. And the reason that you are bringing them up in this room is because it is attempt to make the election all about race as the Democrats.
Not in my case, Ms. Owens. I'm sorry. Please do not characterize my motive.
Mr. Chairman, it's my time. It's my time.
You've got your time, Mr. Meadows.
Notice how quickly, as soon as somebody, what have we seen, Jen? We've seen a lot of people that when they don't have a point to make, they yell because louder somehow makes it righter, right? They yell, they get immediately. What you heard was the not self knee-jerk reaction of somebody.
Oh yeah, that was who. Yeah,
it's like, dude, we weren't even talking to you, and he's taking it literally, personally.
Yes, definitely got triggered there.
So there's triggering going on, and watch how Miss Owens continues to maintain her. She loses focus a little bit, but she actually keeps maintaining it. She keeps coming back to it. It's amazing. Run it.
We'll give you 3 more seconds.
Every 4 years, you bring up race, and you knew exactly what I meant when I said hilarious, and you just tried to do live what the media does all the time to Republicans, to our president, and to conservatives. But you tried to manipulate what I said to fit your narrative, okay? I was not referring to the subject matter that is hilarious. I said it's hilarious that we are sitting in this room today, and I've got 2 doctors and a missus, and nobody can give us real numbers that we can respond to so we can assess how big of a threat this is. Because you know that it is not as big of a threat as you are trying to make it out to be, so you can manipulate. And the audacity of you to bring up the Christchurch shooting manifesto and make it seem as if I laughed at people that were slaughtered by a homicidal maniac is, in my opinion, absolutely despicable. And I think that we should be above that. To try to assign reality or any meaning to a homicidal maniac writing a manifesto, which, by the way, let the record show, also stated Spyro the Dragon, the child's cartoon, as a source of inspiration. He also cited Nelson Mandela as a source of information. I don't think that Nelson Mandela has inspired mosque shootings. You can correct me if you think I'm wrong. You would rather assign meaning to a homicidal maniac than to actually address the things that I said today that are actually harming Black America. Number 1, father absence. Number 2, the education system and the illiteracy rate. Illegal immigration ranks high, abortion ranks high, white supremacy and white nationalism, if I had to make a list again of 100 things, would not be on it. This hearing, in my opinion, is a farce, and it is ironic that you're sitting here and you're having 3 Caucasian people testify and tell you what their expertise are. Do I know what my expertise are? Black in America. I've been Black in America my whole life, all 30 years, and I can tell you that you guys have done the exact same thing every 4 years ahead of an election cycle, and it needs to stop.
Oh, you're back.
Oh, wow. Oh, no, what are you doing? No, pause it. Go back. Oh, is it too late?
It's over.
No, it's
I
not.
just have to say it. Yeah, it's over.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, stop right there. So I originally I had blown this up, so I just thought it was a little bit larger. But look at the senator in the background. He is smiling. That's his outside face. That's his inside face showing on the outside.
Uh-huh.
Right? I just think that that's one. A picture's worth 1,000 words is all I was going to say about this guy. So so here we go with Candace Owens. She's not very old. She was born in '89, so she's really she's done well for herself. This chart, what stands out immediately about her chart and about what we saw was somehow or other Candace Owens attracted society and became enormous quickly. And look at her profile. They're both projection. So unconsciously, she's not even aware that she's attracting the attention of others. So when she first came into the spotlight, it was because of something bad, a violent act that had taken place when she was in high school or coming out of high school. And it got a lot of media attention. And that's sort of what catapulted. She was basically assaulted, and she told her story. And every time Candace Owens is given a platform whereby other people set up the narrative, even if she comes in counter to it, where other people set up a container. So here's the Congress container. As soon as they set up a container for this girl, look out. Actually, anybody who doesn't want to come under attack by her and have her very sharp tongue point stuff out they don't want, don't make a container for her.
Don't give her space. She's got nothing to prove.
She's got nothing. Thank you, Jen. She's literally open ego and fully open ego. She didn't even know what she would want to prove per se. Nothing to prove. And her spleen is open too. Now, very often that can make someone sort of want to act spontaneously, be a little bit concerned about their safety, and hold on to ideas and hold on to things that don't matter, or hold on to things that aren't good for them, really. So she may have held on to plenty of things that weren't good for her, but somewhere along the way, she let some of that stuff go. And she started living out that gate 44, which is part of her incarnation cross, 24 and 44. They're in a second line so they can be called. So if they put her in a container and then they say a subject matter out loud, suddenly Candace is called to be the general that is a heretic.
Yeah, that 5.
She's called in to be a heretic, and she raises her heresy to those who don't want her to speak. I don't know if you were noticing, but you know how I like to look at faces, Jen. So I watched that video several times. I was watching Candace, and then I started watching the other people. And the
Their
girl right next,
reaction.
the girl right next to her was like, you know, I have to go potty now. You know, that was her. And the guy on the very end, he was just looking down. He was like, oh, yeah, no, I don't want any part of this. They hired me for a token smart person to be on the right side of this, on the left side of this thing. So I'd rather say nothing. You could just see their discomfort. And she's emotional. So they sat next to her and she put that emotional wave into them. Now, maybe they were emotional too. I don't know what their makeup was, but suffice it to say, she's got this emotional energy, and notice it's in the tribal stream. You remember the streams by chance? The outside stream is that collective desire only.
Yes.
The little one that's in the middle, you know all about that. That's our individual with melancholy and a very romance-oriented individual uniqueness. This particular one is in the stream of emotional awareness that's about tribal. It's the tribal definition. That is the tribe or the community, whereby it's about the sensitivity to bring the resources that supports the bargain and creates the principles needed for the tribe to thrive. It creates the bonds. It creates the marriage bond. It creates the dowry system, this channel does. It creates everything that there is to do about supporting the nurture of the tribe in a way that brings resources. And what's her number one resource she brings? Her sharp tongue with the information on the other side of it.
Yeah, I was just about to say truth.
Yes.
And that in itself, you know, sharing truth, especially the way that she does, because it's black and white. There's no sugarcoating with her, and that's why I really respect what she has to say. There's no fluff, and she calls out the people who are spouting bullshit.
Right.
But she's truthful about it, that, you know, people don't know how to take that. So even if her design is triggering, what she's bringing with that design, it's probably like a double whammy with anybody that's in her aura.
Period. It's a double whammy, because she, with a defined ego, I mean, a defined solar plex, she's immediately going to have a leg up as it relates to not quite fearing the confrontation. Open solar plex people, they fear their confrontations that might come up, and so they avoid their truth, avoiding confrontation and truth. With a defined solar plex, that's not quite her problem. And look, she's got a gate 55 twice.
Yeah, I saw that.
Twice. So let's see, where is this bad boy? 55 on the right. Oh, it's in her nodes. It's in her north node on the right-hand side and on the left.
And on the left.
So as she's entering into her 30s and later into her 30s, the spirit is going to be the second half of her life. It's all about spirit. And the south node, the bottom one, is gate 59. That's all about basically penetrating the auras of the other, breaking down the barriers to union is what it is. We call gate 59 the aura breaker. Quite literally, it's generated because it comes off the sacral. So it's a generated aspect. Therefore, it's sustaining energy to break down the aura, to break down the resistance of the other in order to achieve union. When Candace Owens first steps into your aura, if her wave is clean and she's, let's say, in a decent mood or what have you, and she's not have a salty wave, we'll call it, then, well, I don't know, because she's emotional. There's no rule, right? There's no rule.
I'm well aware, Dan.
Yep,
I'm well aware.
Yes, she's not always up. She appears up because she's televised and she has to put on a happy. There's times when she puts on a happy face that I'm certain she's feeling very melancholic about where the spirit of things and so forth. But yeah, it's defined twice in her node. So this is going to help shape her direction in life very much. It's going to always become spirited. And what's missing at the end of gate 55? Gate 39, it's not there, right? So you know, the rule of design is we seek the things we are not. That's the genetic imperative. That's the old way. That's the conditioning. We think that the gates we don't have are things that are missing in us. You know, it's a common pursuit when I first read for someone, and when I was first read for, to look at the things I didn't have and say, oh God, I wish I just had this. If I had this, then I would have. So I did some of that.
Yes.
It took did you?
A little bit, yeah, I did.
Why
Some
wouldn't
of
we? We're coming out of
the anger. When you first said the anger, I had to really think about that one because I had an anger issue. I spent 2 years in anger management when I was younger. So when I got older, I didn't really there were moments I would get angry, but now that I'm recognizing it, I know what that means.
Right, exactly. And so for her, it'll be frustration because she's a generator. That's what she has to notice. And when she feels that frustration, I notice her emotional wave snaps her back to the purpose of it all, and it brings the principles to bear. So that gate 49 of this the emotional definition, this is a very powerful definition because it's her prime awareness. It may look like her head is her prime awareness because they're both lit up, and that is an awareness center. But really, when the emotional solar plexus is defined, it trumps the other awarenesses. To the degree she has a handle on the fact that she goes up and down in an emotional wave, to the degree to which at home in her life, she's just maybe she had grandparents that helped raise her that were very important in her life. And you know how older people are around children, they tend to be better, in a lot of measured, even keeled, reasonable, practical ways. So to the degree to which grandma and grandpa let her know, no, honey, it's just a way, maybe it's just a mood. And she learned to let these cycles come and go and felt safe to do so, would be to the degree to which she's clean now. And as it relates to that, and look at that gate 49, and that solar plex center, that is the conscious portion of this definition. It's about principles. And look where it is on the right-hand side. It's in her moon.
Yeah.
49.3. So this little heretic has the adaptability to make her principles become her driving force. And if the principles aren't right on the other end, she's got the anarchy to help tear it down. Third lines tear stuff down when it doesn't work. They're the anarchist. So she's driven to the third line anarchy of, sorry, honey, my principles are driven by the root pressure of the fuel of my adrenaline system. They are my awareness. They are my principles. Screw you. I'm stating it as it is. And I'm driven to do so. How do you say that word?
Anarchist?
Yeah, anachronistically so.
Okay.
Yep, I'm talking about anachronistically so, if that's how you say that. And so she's driven to do this, and she knows it. So that means I
was going to say consciously she knows it.
She's aware of that. Now, she may get a little nervous. Will I have the right support? Because she's not sure when her root pressure will actually kick in to give her the support she needs, which is the energy, that adrenalized energy to push it upward. But she knows in the moment, as soon as there's a principle that's challenged, that root pressure shows up for her. Here's the resource. The resource is the fuel from the root. So the resource is in the body. It's the chemistry of the body to give the rest of the chemistry of her emotional solar plex center all that juice. That juice to roll up her sleeves and be like, oh yeah, you said what? You gave me a container, you fool. I'm going to talk, right?
Yeah.
So now, is there anything that you'd want to ask about this charge or anything so far? Because I'll just carry on.
Yeah, we actually, Savannah's got some questions.
Yay, Savannah, I miss you, love you. What'd you say?
She is a triple split definition that really surprises me. And gate 6 of conflict bridges her split. How would that manifest in behavior?
Oh, yeah. Thanks for noticing the triple split. I almost went, yeah. I don't know why I didn't spot that. Okay. So first of all, triple split. When you're a triple split, it becomes the open centers most that will condition you. When that's just a rule. When it's a triple split, it's mostly the open centers that will condition you. So she had to learn at an early age not to hold on to things that weren't good for her. Her conditioning would have been to hold on to things that weren't good for her. To the degree to which grandma and grandpa and that family, which she speaks so highly of, gave her enough support to feel strong, then is the degree to which she learned to compensate and be that.
Yeah, she's she's young, so she's done, like you said at the beginning, she's done very well for herself. So she seems very put together.
Yeah, she does.
You know,
Well,
there's a lot of people.
thing.
There's a lot of people in political that are not. They're not put together. They shouldn't be there.
Yeah, like that lady speaking in the beginning. She had
exactly.
She had a prearranged non-point to make. It was a non-point. She was trying to make a point that Candace was like, I can see Candace now. I saw it. She was like, hey, I have to laugh because blah, blah, blah. And that person said that she took that statement and said, that means you're laughing at all of it, including the death of the children at the school shooting. And she actually tried to make that become a serious point. Who laughs at that? No, nobody. So anyways, so the triple split, the open centers become the primary conditioning just as a first swipe. And so that open ego, it's totally open. So she wouldn't have known how to value herself. So between the two grandparents that helped raise her or raised her, I forget if they did the deed or were mostly just there. If even just one of them had a defined ego, they would have put that in her to let her know you don't need it. So every time she left their aura, she would have found out that she didn't have it. And she would have come to find out she didn't need it. And every time she was back in it, that ego being one of the two of them likely had an ego, or they made an ego. And it's a reasonable older person thing to say to a kid, hey, kid, you got nothing to prove. It's how you play the game. It's not whether you win or lose. I mean, that's a common thing we tell people, we tell our kids, and it's, sportsmanship. It's more important than how you play the game. Be yourself. Your principles are more important and stuff like that.
Until they started passing out participation trophies to everybody.
Sure, but she was growing up in a time, I think, just before that was taking place. That's
Yes, she was.
Yep. So actually, she would have been in her 20s witnessing that taking place, going, huh?
Just like the rest of us.
Right, exactly.
Now we see what happens when everybody gets a participation trophy.
Participation.
That was the agenda that's why they put it out there in the Matrix.
No, you're right, Jen. You're right. So those things don't belong. If you want to compete in a sport, get what you get. And it's not win or lose, it's how you played the game. You're going to dust yourself off, go back and find whatever thing your design is meant to be for yourself. You're just a kid. Knock it off already. You don't have anything to prove. So again, and she's got the right kind of design to hear the kind of propaganda that parents would put out there with, don't worry, sweetie, you have nothing, you don't have anything to prove. It's how you play the game, right? That, and hey, just stand by your principles. This is things we tell people when they're young and we're trying to help them. Your principles are important, be yourself, right? So just those two statements alone, I'm projecting and I'm surmising that she would have heard some of this growing up, but that's all it would have taken for her to maybe not quite have the chip on her shoulder that like I did when I was growing up about my open ego.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I had everything to prove, I actually did. She grew up thinking she had to prove it. She had to learn to not. And she still has troubles with this at home. There are times.
Yes, Savannah said, I'm surprised she doesn't have a defined heart, seems so confident and self-assured.
I call that a product of her upbringing. So, one of the reasons I like Candace Owens' chart is because as I watch her, that stood out. It made me think she had the serendipity to be raised as herself enough to where that wasn't an issue. When we're raised as ourselves, none of these things are an issue.
Yeah. Well, because because it's what we're raised with. The younger, we had this discussion on our show last night that will be launching tomorrow about what happens when we're younger. So,
well, now think about it, Jen. Let's say you and I are both the same age and we're kids and we're 5, 6, 7 years old and we're raised according to our design. And we got a baseball game we're going into, or softball, or maybe we're throwing frisbee or volleyball. That would be a common thing. Boys and girls get together in volleyball all the time, right? Mm-hmm. So volleyball, we're playing volleyball, and I'm sitting there as myself recognizing I have nothing to prove. And you're sitting there as yourself saying, I'm going to smash this ball. I'm going to prove it. And if you don't smash the ball, you recognize, no, I'll dust myself off. I didn't hit it that time. If you did, you get your ego reward. Me, if I do smash the ball, I'm excited for a moment. I got no ego to be rewarded. And if I don't smash the ball, I dust myself off too. Oh, I had nothing to prove. those are us as children, not kicking the sand, spiking the ball, yelling at the other team, making up excuses.
Yeah.
Something in her upbringing had her with that advantage. I don't know what it is. But if I look back at some of her stories of her upbringing, we'll find the tales of where it is. So, Candace, if you hear this, man, chime in. Let me know what that was, because we're reading you, hon, and I think you're doing a great job. I think you're wonderful, frankly, the more I read this. So the other thing Savannah had asked about, what would that open conditioning do of gate 6? It would make her concern herself about what the right intimacy is. She has the aura breaker to break down the barriers to intimacy and union and bonding.
Mm-hmm.
But what is that right union? Well, it's better adapt to her principles. So this just tells me that while that 5th line is very attractive and would have attracted many boys, and that gate 59 would have attracted many boys in her high school time, that would have been attractive. People would be attracted to that. It does break down barriers, after all, to union. And when you're that age and hormones are raging, the primary union is, wanting to kiss something, right? She held my hand, whatever. Remember those precious moments. And so that's what it would stand out as. Some of it, but mostly it's her open centers, and there's only 2 of them when you're in when you're a triple split. Another thing about a triple split is they have to be out in the public aura. It's where they shine. It's not the only place they shine, but it is a place they have to be sometimes to basically get the different auras that will be the many different ways they would bridge her splits. I mean, her solar plex and root are cut off from the sacral G and the throat. You see that solar plex doesn't go through gate 6 to gate 59, or it doesn't go from gate 60 up to 3.
Yeah.
So there's many places where she could have been hooked up there. And look at above the throat to the head. There's 3 whole channels. She needs others to come in varying ways and hook up those channels. And she gets herself all hooked up, and then they leave. And she starts to feel the difference between them. And that's how she takes sort of like an aura bath. Triple splits have to go out into the public aura to take a bath, an auric bath, a shower, we'll call it.
Is that how they cleanse their aura?
That's one way, very important way in which mechanically, biochemically, they must cleanse their aura. Other things to cleanse their aura that I wouldn't necessarily know to speak to, you could speak to. Jackie Farrow in my office could speak to, the one who had all the stuff going. You're like, good, Dan. She's got this, and remember I told you she was protecting me. She was making sure something. You recognize. Okay, good.
I'll have to do research on the different type of aura types and how that would actually be really cool class to do, because I don't think I don't know. We'll look into that. That's a maintenance thing.
Let's get a professional in here and talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what things different auras can do to cleanse their aura. Between the 4 types would be one of the main things, between emotional or not, and between splits, triple splits, and single deaths and stuff like that. Something else that stands out about her is this incarnation cross of hers. Not so much the cross, but that sun-earth on the personality side. So what do we have here? We have a hermit, right? She doesn't want to get pulled out until she's called. We've got the person who's not going to listen to stupid because she's a hermit. She's got a shell around her. As soon as the other person is saying stupid, she starts. If you go back and watch that video that we played, you can see her eyes burning. It's so funny to watch. She's like, and she's holding her own. This person that just wants harmony, they're waiting to be called. They're shy as it relates to bonding with the other and making friends and stuff. They take their time. So this hermit that has a 5th line on the other side, she's waiting to be called. And when she is called, you know what happens when a 2nd line personality gets called? They're a freak. You can't stop them. They're called. It's like, well, I'm going to shoot you. Okay, you better shoot me dead because I've been called. Or we're going to take all your stuff away. Well, you haven't yet. I'm called. We're going to sue you. Okay, talk to my lawyer. I'm called. I can't help it. I'm going to say the thing. I'm going to speak at the event. I'm going to mention the stuff. You're not going to shut me up. I've been called. And here's what
I'm not well aware, Dan.
Yes. So, right. Oh, yeah, that's me too. in that respect.
Yeah, I know.
So all of her
and nobody knows when that your call is going to hit.
Right. I'll contact anybody. I'll do anything in the moment. And here's a manifesting generator who must live out their purpose in the moment. They must live out that spirit. It shows up in the moment. Yes, they have an emotional wave. Yes, they will come to clarity later whether or not that moment was right for them. That's all true. But at no time does this manifesting generator shut up in the moment, no matter where her wave is at. She'll go back and reflect later, and that's okay. Yes, if something's a great big deal about speaking at an event, she may go through a wave to come to clarity about making that decision. But the rest of her decisions, the clarity is going to come where the hermit lives, in their shell, shy, and away from most people much of the time, until the right forces knock on her door and call her out. So that husband of hers, she's got a child, I know. These are all things that were important decisions. I know for a fact she went through a long courtship process before she allowed marriage and kids and all this and all that. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I don't know that because I looked it up. I know that because I'm seeing her design. Mm-hmm. Somebody had to break through to her and meet up with the resources of energy and the right principles for her to say, okay, you may impregnate me. To her, that's a big freaking deal. This was not a quick decision, any of this personal stuff in her personal life. So she lives on her wave, but when you put her out in that public aura, and that aura of hers is being washed upon by the many different auras that are in an audience moving around in the backstage behind the curtain, they're all coming in and out of her aura. Then this manifesting generator, which is strictly individual, is going to speak. So look at the individual definition going right up the center, 14 up to 2, up to 1, up to 8. Mm-hmm. 14 is the great power to contribute the generative energy to gate 2, which is the direction that her love of humanity and her love of herself is going to take. She's going to have a perfected behavior, gate 10, that then pushes upward through gate 1 to express her creative, unique, individual contribution to empower everyone else. You can't shut her up. She will gate 8 contribute her uniqueness, gate 1, of the direction she's pushing through gate 14 and 2. She's pushing the direction of truth. And that sun earth, she can't help it. So that lady spoke, and Biatch had something to say. Woman. Yes. I love you, Candace. Gate 24, the return. The natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal. So there she is transforming while that person is talking. Gate 24 and her personality sun, second line. So it's a natural, it's a hermit. That 24 is waiting to be called. It's individual, so it's unique automatically. It's expressive, and it's in the mental system. So it's called the return. It's returning over and over again to what might it need to say? What might that mean? What's the mystery here? What do I need to get to the bottom of? So it's the mental awareness process of returning to the thinking that then becomes the truth. That becomes her truth. So she's driven to return to that. Her principles say, I am driven as an anarchist to return as a natural over and over again until I've got clarity on what the hell this means. She's driven to do that. So don't give her a topic. You fool, you gave her a topic, she's going to return to it.
Right?
Are you crazy? Don't make her dart, man. She's going to say stuff. Let me go on a little further.
People are giving her stuff to respond to
all day long. She's in her perfect element, straight up power.
Candace Owens, a responder, very well.
A manifesting generator responder.
Like a machine. People are not prepared for what her response is going to be.
She is a roll her sleeves up machine. And if you come in at her and try and take down her spirit, well, she's got something to say about that. Out comes the anarchist. Don't you ruin the spirit of this moment. That's my way. Path through this life is my spirit. And that gate 24 line 2, you're going to love this. It's called recognition. It really is said recognition. She's able to recognate in the moment. And according to her manifesting generator design, uniquely and perfectly as a perfected form of her own self in the moment. the generator she's able to generate the recognition in the now in spontaneous response to whatever. So again, don't say stuff unless you want her to respond, because that recognition, which is conscious in her, she's aware of it. The proper and spontaneous adaptation of new forms, period. It's the potential gift of conceptualizing spontaneously on the fly. Now, it says potential gifts. So there are times younger in her life and times even now where potentially it won't be there.
Right.
But she has seemed to manage to get herself in situations. The only time it potentially isn't there is when she's acting out who she's not and trying to initiate rather than respond.
Right.
So as long as she, and in that whole situation, do you notice she didn't pipe in like the senator did? The senator couldn't help. Don't you tell me how I am.
Yeah. No, she waited.
She waited.
She
Makes me wonder if she was read. Someone may have read for her. And this little hermit would have been like, hey, I picked up, you said that I got to wait to respond when all my power comes out. Okay, I'm going to run with that. That's a total natural thing to do. Pick a thing and run with it, because she's called. And if that was all she got out of a reading, if she ever was read, that would be enough. That would be enough for her to get half of it right all the time or more. So she waited and she held her tongue, and she didn't want to, because the manifesting generator just wants to move fast. That tantric channel of 14.2 just wants to move fast.
Yeah.
It's just hurry up. Life is limited. That's what this channel says. We have a limited time here, folks. I'm in a direction. My love is moving in this direction. Please, let's hurry. Hurry up. Step lively. Come on. Come on. That's her. So 24 is this awareness to recognate as a natural in the now. When I'm called. How? As a response. As long as she waits, her mind will recognate all the stuff it needs. It's defined, so it's always on. She's always got an active brain working, and it would recognate whatever it needs so that she can express exactly what she told those lame idiots that were there trying to make a point, literally, instead of have the discussion that was needed. If they were having a discussion that was needed, they wouldn't have made that point.
Yeah, exactly.
They would have never made that point. They would hear her point, and she was right on the money.
Well, they don't want to have to hear what she has to say, because they don't like that she says truth.
Right. And then the fourth 44.2, which is her earth. So her sun, that's a driving force driving in on her from the sun, and it's grounded in her 44. And 44 is in an open center. So if you've got a gate in an open center, it's intermittent. It's not always her grounding isn't always there until she's in the aura of others. As soon as there's one or two people around, this grounding is all hooked up for her. As soon as there's a Senate floor around, it's guaranteed hooked up for her.
Yeah.
Or at a CPAC thing, or at this, or on her whatever, her crew, people. As soon as there's people around, that 44 gets kicking, and it's tribal. It's called the gate of alertness, coming to meet. It's about being alert to the forces you need to meet with, and being alert to the challenges that are needed so that the tribe will have what it needs to survive. This woman is a design of returning to what's needed so that the tribe has what it needs to fight and survive. Who's she fighting for? The individual American tribe that are made up of individuals. She's fighting for the individual, which is all of her defined definition that she speaks from. She speaks from all that individual definition. And she feels from the definition that's down below deeply about what that tribal connection really means.
Yeah.
So she shows up with her principles, and then she speaks from her sacral. Bam. With all the tools needed from the mental system that are already there. And if someone throws her a curveball, oh yeah, well, I'm alert to this moment, and I'm going to recognate what I think you just said. I'm going to beat your ass with it. I'm going to beat that freaking white off your ass, woman. So listen to what 44 says. It's about management, managing the situation, alertness to manage the situation for the success of the tribe. Yes, development, management of a proper collective structure which restricts inferior elements. I love this. and it creates newer cooperative modes that integrates these potentially inferior forces in order that they can progress into the future. And what did she do? She offered them to come back to what was reasonable. She insulted them at the same time. So the principals were insulting the woman. At the same time, she kept her decorum. If that woman simply came up afterwards and said, hey, I apologize, you're right, the principals of Candace Owens would immediately respond and say, good enough, let's work together. A cooperative collective working together. That's what she's alert for. In black, it says the possibility that alertness to patterns will result in the capacity to manage the situation. That would have been the older version. The possibility that the possibility that alertness to patterns will result in her being able to manage the situation. I added a couple words because we're talking about somebody, but so she's alert to what's needed to manage the bullshit, and she's returning in a defined center to the mental cognition that's needed to have what's needed to be said.
Mm-hmm.
And she pours it out as a response from a manifesting generator that's all individual. You said something to me, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna fucking say something back right now. And you're gonna be sad. I'm gonna make you very sad. You're gonna cry and go home.
I noticed something about her.
What's that?
Defined head center.
Yes. So, oh, that's right, Jen. That's right. So, and she's not one of them. So, who's
she's in politics.
Yeah.
She doesn't seem like she's one that can be easily persuaded, bought, influenced, or anything like that. Like
right.
I don't get that vibration, but
what you just
has
said,
that defined head center.
What you just said describes a second line to a T. It describes individual definition to a T. Don't try to influence me.
Yeah, she does not seem like the type. She will push back, and you've already stated that through her design.
Yep. And Savannah, if you're still listening, I'm going to talk about the arrows now because the arrows are always so fun to look at. Did she say anything? Savannah have any more questions? She always asks.
She said, I have heard the 14-2 has to do with money and abundance.
Totally. It's about pushing a direction towards beauty. And one of the beauties in human life is to have an abundance. Now, that very often turns into money at the same time. It really helps drive in groups. It helps drive the penta forward. It helps drive groups forward, this channel particularly. It's about driving into the direction. So it absolutely is pushing that. And again, these are genetic constructs. We're genetically designed to drive a direction towards something that is aesthetically pleasing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just are. No one wants to drive into a shit pile. They like to drive.
No.
Please take me to the dump. Well, some people like the dump. That's fine. These arrows. So notice the right-handed cognition on the right and the left-handed strategic cognition on the left. So everyone sees her as the left arrows, which is, this is my variable. I have this variable, this exact variable. So
you're this?
Yes.
Left and right? Okay.
So on the outside, everyone sees her as this can-do person who sort of got everything all together, and she always seemed focused, and she's busy, and she's active. She's the observer.
Logical, analytical,
all of that. Yeah, strategic and observed. So she always is the observed, and she's strategically mental, and people think that she's so bright and charming that way. And so they project on her fifth line that she will come up with all that stuff. But on the right-hand side where her personality is, she's all open and receptive and a blurry view. She has to basically unfocus her eyes in order to allow her response to basically come up out of her. She has to literally allow the moment to pull the response out of her. If she tries to go into that strategicness and think it up for herself in advance, she gets lost. So what does she do? I don't know if you notice when she's talking, if it's something that's a pure response, she doesn't need notes. If it's something that she's about to deliver, I was watching a lot of her. I noticed she always has a bullet point somewhere to put her back on track, And she looks down at it sort of often. And she doesn't try to hide that she's looking down at it. I've seen
So
her
is that the right side?
Yes, the right side needs something to keep it on track if you go on a soliloquy.
Is that why I am so I like presentations, because I like presentations because it helps me get tracked when I go.
Yes, you're always having bullet points and things and PowerPoints and slides, Jen, and that's
Yes,
yes.
I'm the PowerPoint girl.
Yes, and it's actually perfect because the PowerPoint itself pulls from you as you're doing it, and then when we need it, you don't have to think about what you're going to think about because the right mind is no good at that. It's just waiting for the props and the people and the circumstances to draw from us. So, so if they draw from something that she's passionate about, that she's got life experience on, that she doesn't need to look at any notes for because it's all gone in already.
Yeah.
Oh, look out. Out comes the general. Out comes the fire of the second line called into being the general, the heretic, the person who's going to have a way that tears it down if it doesn't work. I would like to conclude with Candace Owens is a perfect candidate, and I want her to run for president or vice president. I don't care that she's only 33, 4, 5 years old. She's old enough. She's been around enough, and she's perfect. I like this girl. She pushes a direction. She shows up with her principles intact. She doesn't seem to falter except at home where we wouldn't know. And she's got a husband there for support. She's managed to get herself in a position where there's a family and it's intact and she's married and it's and all the things, blah, blah, blah. And she speaks her mind.
Yeah, she does.
She's tribal. She's for us, Jen. I mean, I don't know because I'm not in her life, but she's on the outside. She presents as somebody who cares about preserving the ability for the uniqueness of Candace Owens to be allowed to be the uniqueness of everyone else. What, you're unique? Yep, you got it. It's America. Got it right. What, you're different? Even better. It's America. It's built into cooked into the Constitution. Those crazy bastards said we could have it. Here you go.
Yes. Well, I like Candace. I think you did a fantastic job on her chart. She's definitely a powerhouse. I'm happy to see where she's at, the part that she's playing in this whole grand scheme of things.
I pray she's not hijacked or gets hijacked or someone whatever.
No. Well, you hit
I don't
it.
think so.
It's that defined head center and that open head center. So let's see what happens in the future.
Right. Exactly. Maybe who do you want to do next? Do you want to do it's either Joe Rogan or possibly we did Anthony Fauci. There was an evil person I wanted to do, or possibly Joe Rogan. I forgot who the evil guy was. It was some bad man.
Joe Rogan. I don't know. We'll keep you guys tuned on who's coming up.
Yeah, or both. Tell us who you want. Tell us who you want to hear. What the hell, man? Chime in.
Yes. Drop a comment down below if there's somebody that you specifically want to see their chart read. We'd love to get some feedback. I think you did a great job on picking Candace. Awesome, Dan. Thank you again.
Yeah. Can we tag her on this? She's got a regular Candace Owens thing. Can she?
I can. I'll once it processed and I repost it tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll tag her in it and I'll go back to the original one and tag it. So definitely to see if she watches it. And again, guys, if you want to see a specific person, let us know. And make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. Give us a thumbs up if you really enjoyed this. Thank you, Savannah. She said we did an awesome job.
For some reason, it wasn't hard. Candace seemed to just roll off the tongue.
Yes, Candace did. So, great job. Tune in on Sunday. Are we doing live readings again?
We are. We've got are this week's and last week's readings coming in to tell us live. How was it?
Perfect.
I don't talk to them beforehand, We don't script anything. We're going to hear what they candidly have to say about their readings.
Yes, guys, if you didn't tune in to last week, it was a very awesome show. We had two different people on, and Dan gave free live mini readings. They were about 20 minutes just to help get you started, get to know a little bit more about yourself. If that's something that interests you, reach out to us. We would love to have you on the show. If you are camera shy, don't worry. Reach out to us and we'll see if we can arrange something for you. And by Sunday, we should have our brand new website up. So I'm super excited about that. We'll be able to promote that. Yeah, big things are coming. So please go to the links down below. Make sure you're following us and sign up to the newsletter list too, because we're going to be sending out some awesome stuff.
Thanks, Jennifer. You always make it happen. I love you so much. This was great.
Oh, you're welcome. I feel like on Sunday, maybe we should do a big celebration. Since we're going to have the website and everything like that, maybe we'll do a giveaway.
Sure.
We could definitely do a trip giveaway if people are interested in that. I think I have a couple of trips that.
How about some shirts? A
we
conspiracy
could
to
do
awaken.
well.
Yep. So.
Yep.
Good
Perfect.
luck, you guys. Thank you.
All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye now.